Good morning, folks. My name is Jay, and I'm the content creator behind Cold Nights Gaming. Normally, this channel is a fun channel that streams JRPGs, video game news, and assorted geek type things. But we face, as a collective, a huge, clear, and present danger to our privacy and life on the internet. The Haunter, pictured in the thumbnail, is a character I use for horror videos and my Halloween specials. I also use him to talk about sensitive topics and things that are not normally covered on my channel. Today, we're going to cover this clear and present threat. Let's get to it. I keep asking myself how we got here. How are we allowing such things to continuously happen? How do we allow a maintained assault on consumer rights, privacy, and our lives? And it's not just in America. It's not just in the UK. How did we get here? We're about to have ID verification for YouTube, the world's largest video streaming platform. We even have music streaming services requiring ID verification. We have games that are deemed evil or problematic being removed from Steam and itch.io. Censorship under the guise of goodwill and protection for those who need it. But I ask that you don't be fooled by these claims. The first thing I want to talk about is the simple fact that every civilized country has laws against things like SA and non-consensual sexual encounters. They have laws against inappropriate forms of pornography. They have laws against the artistic or video game depiction of the most extreme violence or sexual content. These laws are already on the books. They always have been. These laws protect the vulnerable in society. There is already a framework to stop these crimes and to support victims of these crimes. Nobody is saying they want people to be hurt, taken advantage of, or preyed upon. What everyone is saying is that these things from groups like Collective Shout are disguised as goodwill. They are disguised as positive activism to bring good change to the world. But what they are is causes that many of us believe in that are being weaponized to reach other goals. The people at Collective Shout, I can only speak for what I think their intentions are. They are angry women who do not like pornography, violence, or the depictions that oftentimes happen of women in video games. If you don't like those things, you have the right, as a consumer, to not purchase them or consume them. But everyone else has the right to consume them, as long as they follow the laws of the land and don't break the code of law that I have already discussed that is in place to protect people. The problem here is not pornography. The problem here is not actually violent video games or graphic depictions of violence or SA. The problem here is precedent. If we lose a couple of twisted games that somehow got past the checks and balances, that's not a huge loss. There are some people that are against censorship to the point where they say it would be. But the real threat here is the precedent this sets. and the method that it's being executed in, and the fact that aside from collective shout, you also have governments getting on board with this. You have the UN getting on board with this. First, let's take a look at what collective shout is doing to reach their goals. It's a new underhanded tactic where they are using payment processors and clauses in their terms of service about damage to reputation. They are blasting these companies and the companies they're targeting with targeted email blasts that talk about the damage that the content they're seeing on these platforms can do to society and to the reputations of credit card companies. They are making credit card companies and payment processors feel like they are responsible for the content that is on these platforms. This is a genius tactic, though it is being used for evil. It is effective, as we have seen. The problem is, even if you agree with everything they're saying, even if you want a puritanical society where people cannot get violent or sexual content at all on the internet, what you must realize is that we are at the whim of whatever group of activists or whatever political alignment is currently running the country that you live in. A lot of people talked about what happened in World War II and how Adolf Hitler and the German regime first went after Jewish people, and people in the country stood idly by because they weren't Jewish and it didn't affect them. But then they went after gypsies, other racial minorities. Then they went after homosexuals and cross-dressers. The list continued to grow of people who were deemed unacceptable and not contributing to society. They felt those people should be removed, and they did it. And Germany and most of the world stood idly by until it was too late, and you have one of the greatest tragedies that ever befell humanity. Don't think for a minute that once they have wiped the internet of pornography, of graphic violent video games, of visual novels that have sexual elements or nudity in them, that they will not weaponize this method on the next. If an activist group doesn't agree with your opinions on something, they will be able to weaponize payment processors against you. It's called debanking. The US government recently passed a presidential executive order saying that you can't be debanked for your political or personal beliefs. And many people online said that was a huge win. The problem is, that was not actually targeted at this. It was targeted at what happened to people after the Capitol riots. It is a very partisan thing that President Trump and the Republicans are using to protect their voters from companies with liberal ideas discriminating against them. And I'm not here to talk about politics. I literally don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, because this is a danger to you regardless. Because the problem is, let's move on to governance. Let's move on to the UK. That is passing all these laws requiring ID verification and controlling content on the internet. Right now, whoever's running the UK has this set of beliefs that these things are bad. But let's say the next election, they elect a far-right candidate. And that candidate has a problem with gays and lesbians or transgender people. They can then weaponize the laws, the set of methods that they are using against those people. This can be political, and it can hurt both sides of the aisle. It can hurt them in every country across the world, because many people are following suit. So what I'm getting at is, even though you may, based on your personal beliefs and preferences, think the world would be a better place without violent video games and pornography. But the problem is, the next person in power, or the next activist group, may believe that the world is a better place without what you like, or, even worse, without you. This is a terrifying step towards the events depicted in things like 1984, where you can have thought crime, where for speaking or saying the wrong thing, you could be prosecuted. It's a terrifying step towards something like Minority Report, another great film, where you would be arrested for crimes they believed you would commit. The other thing that terrifies me the most, and a lot of people are not talking about it, is social credit. If you have to provide ID and basically dox yourself to access things on the internet, the government, and possibly hackers or commercial institutions, know what you are doing, even if you're not doing anything illegal. Social credit is a system where citizens are judged based on their moral beliefs and their actions in innocuous things. Obviously, if you commit crimes, you go to jail. But with social credit, if you like or do things that the current regime or government does not like, they could make it harder for you to apply for jobs, get transportation, get access to services. This is something that we could see in the very near future, when there is no privacy left on the internet and there is nowhere to hide. It is the most clear and present threat to anything. Let me give you an example. Let's look at the government in the United States. Currently, it is a right-wing government. And the United States, granted, has not made as many moves as the UK or Australia towards this terrifying future. But if they do, which is why this fight is so important, imagine a right-wing government that already has proven they want to limit the rights of certain groups. Whether it is transgender people, gay people, or judging people by race. Again, I'm not here to argue. You can argue that they're not doing that, or you can argue that they are. It doesn't matter. It can and will and has happened under both parties. But imagine if judged based on the games you are playing, and because we are humans, and many of us do, say the erotica that you watch, they identify you as a gay or transgender person. And because the government believes that you should be otherized or denied things based on that, the simple fact that you consume gay or transgendered content on the internet, erotica or not, could put you on a list of someone who is unemployable, someone who should not be loaned to, someone who, God forbid, can't be trusted to vote, someone who shouldn't have access to government services. Those things are real and present dangers. We are exposing ourselves to all of this danger in the name of a crusade for puritanical values. The world would be a better place without pornography. The world would be a better place without games like GTA. The world would be a better place without problematic content. And don't get me wrong, because many of you probably will. I don't support hate speech. I don't support people that do awful things online. But that isn't what this is about. If you think that that is what this is about, then you are lost, and they already have you. We face a real danger of being discriminated against, or worse, imprisoned, having our rights taken away, based on the things that we consume online. One of the things I brought up earlier, Rhapsody, music services, using ID verification. You might say, that seems pretty innocuous. That's probably to stop kids from listening to graphic gangster rap or hardcore metal that has swears or violent things in them. That's not what it's about. What are one of the most listened to things on music services? Folks, it's podcasts. It's a place where people freely speak about their religious and political beliefs. If you are ID verified and they can follow everything you do and say on a music streaming service, they will know if you are listening to far left or far right political content. They can then judge you and make decisions about you based on this. What I also want to get at here is don't think the government doesn't already surveil all of us. Don't think the government doesn't know everything about you. They know where you shop, they know where you work, they know how much you make, they know all of that. But allowing them to have unfettered access to all of this information makes it even easier for them to do it. There is less work to be put in. It is more cost effective for them to control and surveil us. We can't allow this, no matter what guise it is under. No matter if it's coming from activist groups. No matter if it's coming from credit card companies and payment processors. And no matter if it's coming from the government of the country you live in or the UN. We are facing peril if we no longer have privacy and autonomy on the internet. We have to do something to stop it. Unfortunately, most of us live in imperfect capitalisms, where based on our financial status, because we are not millionaires, we have limited resources. But there are things you can do. You can stay educated. You can know what is happening with these activist groups. You can know what banks and processors are doing. You can know what things are being voted upon in your parliament or your Congress or Senate. You can know what resolutions are being passed in the UN, and you can react accordingly. We have two ways to fight back against injustice in capitalistic democracy. You can vote with your wallet, and you can vote at the ballot box. Whether you are Republican or Democrat, think very closely about the candidates you are voting for. Look into what their thoughts are on internet privacy regulations. How did they react to these things? Did they vote on them? Did they abstain? Have they vocally supported or moved against them? Those are things you need to know. Know what corporations support this and don't support them. Boycott credit card companies if you can. There are so many things we can do, even though often we seem powerless. Guys, this is a clear and present threat to our society. Normally I come on and play out silly horror skits. This is a real life horror. No matter how bad you think your world is, no matter how bad you think the government you live under is, it can get much, much worse. And we have to come together to stop this. That's all I have to say. Stay educated, stay alert, and fight against this travesty. Goodbye.